I had to like dig away at all these layers to find out who I was. I'm obsessed with smells. I want to be in your armpit, ball sack. I want it all. I love the Stockholm shit. And I could just act and fuck. Oh my God.
Hey, I'm Ariel Demure.
Hi, I'm Maddie Collins. Hey guys, I'm Maya Wolf.
Hi, I'm Little Puck.
I'm Bree Mills, and you're listening to the Adult Time Podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Little Puck.
Hi, thank you for having me here today.
Okay, so is it Little Puck? Puck? Little? What's
Not
your
little.
reading?
Puck. Puck is great. You can also call me Little Puck, but Puck is perfect. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, I have a connection to the name Puck.
Really?
So I want to hear first what inspired you to choose Little Puck as your name.
So it's been about, I think, 8 years or 10 years as Puck. I've gone through quite a few names throughout my life. And I wanted something like punchy, monosyllabic, like androgynous. It rhymed with suck and fuck. So that really sold me. Originally, like when I chose Puck, I didn't really want to be associated with Midsummer Night's Dream, the Shakespeare and like the English mythology of that character, because I thought it was like cliche or something. But then it was my subconscious being like, girl, we know.
You are Puck.
You are Puck. This is like every character that I'm drawn to in media is always like that puckish, little mischievous character. And so I have aligned myself in within that in my personal life, and then also my brand. Like is very much that.
Well, you're speaking to the choir here as I have also always aligned with a kind of sprite. Androgynous, somewhat mischievous sprite. And I actually have a Puck tattoo. So this says what fools these mortals be. And it's one of the first tattoos I ever got. And it was because I did a lot of theater growing up.
Oh,
and as a young gay, a young mask gay, I existed in the theater playing any androgynous role I could. So I played a lot of little princes. I played any type of character that didn't have to wear a dress.
Yep.
And one of the crowning moments of my youth was being cast in the role of Puck in it wasn't a professional production, but it sort of was. It was for the professional theater of the city that I grew up in. And, we got to do a whole, big thing. And I got cast as sort of a like rockabilly Puck.
Oh, fun.
And it was at the time the coolest shit I ever did. So
I need to see pictures.
Oh, no.
If there are pictures. Yes. Okay.
I actually showed right before we started, we were talking about Halloween costumes, and I have already shared some images of my past.
And I have to say that like so far we've nailed on two of like the largest looming characters in my life.
Yes, we have.
Kermit and Puck. And
so we're like kindred spirits.
Yeah.
We are in sync. Yeah. So, but I love Puck as a character as well, and certainly it has that role and that character has always spoke to me. Yeah. So it was no surprise that I first heard about you through word of mouth. Okay, I was shooting. We hadn't worked together, and several performers that I work with regularly, including Codi Vore, was like, but not limited to Codi. Like I heard probably within a month, I must have heard your name from like half a dozen of my regulars. And they're like, you have got to meet Little Puck. Oh. And I'm like, who is this?
That's so nice.
Who is this androgynous sprite, mischievous sprite? And it was Codi who was working with me on a Pure Taboo project that she wrote. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I'm going to vouch for her. I know you haven't worked with her. Can we please bring her in? And let me tell you, and let me tell everybody, you showed up to that set. You had memorized every line, which I can't say for the rest of the cast that day. You came in, you were ready to go.
Yeah.
And made such an impression.
Thank you.
And I hear that you also are very well prepared for this conversation.
Yes, I am.
So that's my introduction to Little Puck.
I have a press doc that's 60 pages on where I just like scroll through it before anything, any podcast, any interview, like whatever. And I'm just like, I read it. I'm like, who am I? Okay,
this is me.
This is me. I'm gonna read this, and then I'll know who I am.
Okay, so I need to know, because we have worked together, and obviously you've been working a lot with Adult Time, over the last I guess getting close to a year at this
Almost
point.
a year.
But I don't know this. I don't know the origin story. So can you tell me? Can you share with our listeners and watchers like what has your journey been? Because I'm sure it's a pretty
Getting into
interesting
sex
story.
work?
Yeah, well, and just becoming who you are and that this amazing brand that you've created.
So I grew up in a conservative, like Christian cult, basically.
Mic drop.
So I was completely divorced from my sexuality. I did not masturbate until I was 18. I was taken out of like health classes when I finally did go to public school because I was homeschooled and put in a Christian school for most of my education. And so I didn't really understand my body or sex or like anything. And I was like a newborn, consistently learning like every day when I was finally introduced to the public in high school, which was like a massive culture shock.
Yeah.
But luckily, I'm starting from the beginning here.
No,
I'm going.
I am
like,
already.
You want to
like,
know?
I'm riveted. Like, let's go. So yeah, you had me at that opening line.
Yeah.
So yeah, please. This is fascinating too because I'm going to want to talk to you about that. The discovery of sexuality and the identity when that is taken, the outside influence is taken from you. So
Yes.
yeah, please keep going.
And I was extremely lucky that the public school that I did end up attending in high school, like I got plugged into choir and band and the theater. Mm-hmm. And we all know that there's all the gays and the queers and the weirdos in the theater. And they were so accepting and kind to me. And I was so taken aback and embarrassed by like everything, like all the time. But everyone was just they didn't like make fun of me for it. They kind of just took me in like under their wing. And so I found a lovely community there.
Yeah.
And that helped me just start to blossom.
Yeah.
But it still took me a very, very long time to unlearn so much of that indoctrination. Like it really, like to this day, there's still like little things where I'm still picking at in my psyche.
Yeah. Was in terms of your growing up, one of the questions that I always like to ask, and I think it would be particularly interesting in your case is, so much of our identity, especially like our identity as like human beings and sexual beings, is formed on what we model from what we see.
Yeah.
I know myself, I very much, grew up as a preteen in the early 90s and like Beverly Hills 90210 and Saved by the Bell. And like, to me, that was what, falling in love was.
Right.
And I wanted to date Kelly Kapowski and I couldn't, and what was wrong with me. And that sent me on a journey, because that was the only reference point I saw.
Yeah.
For you growing up, was it a question of just being completely isolated from any sort of examples of, human connection, intimacy, sexuality, or was it more that you were kind of fed this alternative reality and that was what you grew up sort of modeling?
It was definitely the alternative reality because I wasn't allowed to like read Harry Potter or like watch Aladdin or like watch the Rugrats or Simpsons or like really anything. I remember distinctly one day I was like a junior in high school and I was in my English lit class and I like turned around to my friends and I was like, guys, what's secular music? Like, can you make me a list? Like, I don't, because I listened to like Out of Eden and like gospel, like Kirk Franklin and like like the Christian pop punk artists and stuff. And I wasn't allowed to like do these things and like go out. So I had no like secular media really to draw from. And so everything was still very confusing in it. And there's so many movies that I still haven't seen. And I have a large list, but the alternative reality section was like, so I was allowed to like watch Disney, right? And Disney and Christianity are very kissy, closely linked. And so like my greatest ambition that like my mother had for me was that I'd settle down with a man and that he'd take care of me and I'd pop out a few babies, which is not my vision. I have no desire for that. I will never have a child. Like, so, and then it was also kind of like this idea that like, Christ is the head of the household. So, everything you have to do is like filtered through what he wants from you. And then through what the man of the household wants for you. And so just having to like take off all these little things, not little things, it felt like I was being consistently masked by other people. And I had to like dig away at all these layers to find out who I was. Yeah. And it took a while.
And sometimes, from the outside looking in, somebody say like myself who grew up, in a fairly kind of definitely secular upbringing, you could think, well, like, how was it that you were so insulated? But it really is true. It's so easy to just, you grow up with what you know. And especially when you're young, it's pretty small and then gradually gets bigger with the more exposure and experience you have. So what ended up leading you to go to public school in high school?
We didn't have the money to continue with the homeschooling and the Christian education. And so my parents finally had to do it. And I remember like I was a freshman and I went to the talent show and it was like a big deal for me because I was like surrounded by all these like kids and it was kind of like, it was like way less like adults were there or whatever. And the soccer team went on stage and like took off their shirts and I was so embarrassed.
Mortified,
I was mortified.
Yeah.
And I called my aunt because I couldn't call my mom and I was like, can you please come pick me up? Like, this is scary. I don't know.
No. When that you know, that makes sense. Like the reactions are so strong, right? Like I remember seeing once. I was very like I was a very like squeaky clean kid, at least up until a certain point. I remember seeing a teacher smoking outside of school once, and actually doing the same thing. Where like I called my parents because I was like, I can't believe what I just saw. Please come and get me.
Oh man, I quit smoking cigarettes, but man, I had to run there.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm like,
we've all been there. We've all been there.
So I went to public school, and then because I was still so like inundated and like really that the Christian community was still like my home. Even wasn't a great home, but I understood it. I went to a Christian university, and I was like considered one of like the bad kids there because I didn't believe in God at this point. And I was discovering that I was queer and that wasn't allowed. We had to sign a contract that says you couldn't be gay. Couldn't smoke, couldn't drink. And so, you know, I found my other people there and we pushed back and it was a great time for me because it was like I was still living within that Christian bubble, but I was finally like fighting for my, you know, my rights and my voice, like finding my voice and stuff. And I think it was that freshman year, that like summer I came home and I think I was still 17 or maybe I just turned 18 because I was like younger. And my parents found out that I was dating someone who was like trans and they kicked me out of the house. They said I couldn't go back to school and stuff. And so I had to figure out like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, this is crazy. But I ended up just lying and said that we stopped dating. So I was like, I really would like to go to school. Like, I don't want to do this on my own. But
But you started to have that confidence to like push the boundaries a bit more. Yeah. And I can't imagine like knowing you, and I'm sure it comes across from this conversation too. You are someone who is so like you exude a confidence and like a quiet confidence in sense of like you have that kind of creative spark and that energy to you. It's hard to imagine that wasn't always there. Was it always there and it was just channeled differently? It was just like hyper Christian for a number of years. Yeah.
It was just like I did like puppet theater for Christians. I did a lot of Christian theater. I did, you know, I was always performing. But it was just like with a different lens. And then when I finally started discovering my sexuality and stuff, like I was on like the worship arts ensemble team at my Christian university. I would do like this like poetic like art pieces where I'd be like moving and stuff. And that shit was sexual as fuck. And I got away with so much because I would like say God somewhere in it. I'm like, I'm finding my own God right here, right now on stage, baby.
It's funny. I did go to a Christian high school, but it's funny when you look back, especially when you're somebody who is kind of like a performance artist at heart. Like I did a couple of plays in high school that I sort of wrote and directed and got a lot of time on school time to do that were like highly inappropriate. and there was one that I won't mention on air because even now I look back and I'm like, I really probably shouldn't have done that. But I did one that my high school had to organize guidance counselor appointments for people afterwards because people were so emotionally affected by like the play that I put on. So bad. It was for the Canadian equivalent of like a Veterans Day. So it was, it was hitting home on some like, but I took it to a level that normally a high school would not, and they needed to do some some counseling
I
afterwards.
love
So
this.
yeah, I push buttons too. Again,
We're
kindred
just
spirits.
button pushers.
We're just,
Yeah.
there you go. Okay, so you were sort of found out for being queer by your parents. There was a threat to kind of kick you out, but
Yeah.
you wanted to continue your education. So you figured out, a way to basically lie your way through the rest of it. When did sort of expressing your sexuality through sex work start to emerge for you?
Okay, so that took a while. So because of like the being raised up Christian and stuff and like having to unlearn all these things, I entered my punk phase. Most people in like their teens, I was like early 20s, mid 20s. I'm like, I'm a punk now. I'm an anarchist. Like, I was living in squats. Like I found a whole different community. I started protesting.
Yep.
I was like, I was learning everything that I could. I was like, this is an entire world and then another world and another world. And I kept feeling like I was like going down this rabbit hole of like, oh, there's so many beliefs and like systems out here. And I was just exploring everything and very fascinated. And, but because I had kind of like poor social boundaries and I still didn't understand, like, I was still like working through like my own personhood and like figuring out like who I was and what I wanted instead of, because within Christianity, women are kind of like taught to be people pleasers. So that was a big piece that I had to figure out. But I think I was like 20. So I'm 35. So I was like 24 when I started sex work. I was in a shitty living situation. I needed to make money fast to get out. It was like an emotionally abusive relationship. And I was like stuck in like Phoenix, Arizona, and I just didn't really have any options. And I was kind of like, my sex life has sucked ass until now. Yeah. I don't know shit about anything. Like, this seems like a good way for me to perform and be creative and like find myself and connect to a piece of myself and to make money from home. And so it hit all the buttons for me, and I started working. I did cam for a little bit, found that wasn't as much my thing as doing clips. And I just blossomed from there. And it sometimes feels like a cliche story, but I am proud of myself and for every sex worker who's had that experience, found sex work and has been able to become independent from that. Yeah. Like, fucking kudos, dude. It's hard.
Look, honey, the first step towards realizing your dream might be building a family.
This is Grace, and she's gonna be able to take care of you no matter how sick you feel.
Where are you going?
I need to go shopping.
I already have everything prepared for you.
Hey, you can't drink that much caffeine. Honey, it's just not a good time. Okay, it's just not a good time.
Matthew, please.
It's just...
Maggie, just give me your hand. Give me your hand. Give it to me.
Get out of my way.
It's just fine.
Get out of my way.
What's her temperament like?
Worrying.
Not good.
I want you to make me mother.
Let's take some time to think about it.
I want you to make me mother.
What do you think?
I don't want you here anymore. I want you to make me a mother.
You're not supposed to be doing this. You know you're on bed rest.
I want you to make me a mother.
We're gonna have to make a decision in her perineum.
I want you to make me a mother.
There you go, Mama. You're doing such a good job.
I want you to make me a mother.
Laura, you are fully dilated, all right? It is time for you to start pushing.
I want you to make me a mother.
I know how sacred motherhood is. You're bringing a baby into this world. Isn't that just so special?
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of all of us for doing that.
Well, and especially, I mean, yes, across the board, but especially when from the get-go, it's a completely independent venture.
Yes.
What people underestimate is just the absolute amount of work that you need to put in terms of marketing, networking, promotion. And, like the time you spend on the clips is probably a minority compared to like all of the stuff related to getting the brand.
90% is administrative.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so when you started to do, obviously camming, there is an existing audience there. So you kind of build your your name within that audience. But with the clip world, tell me a little bit about how you found your way through that, because that can equally be for a lot of people could say, oh, I can make clips, and then, a couple months in you give up because not all clips are created equal. There's millions of them out there. You're not necessarily going to become a top seller on a clip site. You have to be quite savvy in looking at, what's working and adapting to it. So how did you kind of grow your brand through that avenue?
So the landscape was definitely different 10 years ago. Some things remain true, like obviously, and the power of like a clip is pretty consistent. So for me, I discovered that I didn't really like just sitting and feeling kind of like trapped in a conversation for camming and like waiting for someone to, I wanted to be able to like sit and design something. I wanted to be able to think about like at all of the shots and like what kind of narrative am I building? What world am I building here? And I had already kind of experimented with creating videos like before this. And I also had been doing performance art and stuff. So those things kind of like just melded perfectly for me. I already had a passion for that. Yeah. And so he became my thing very easily.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, when you were doing theater and stuff, did you do a lot of your own kind of, behind the scenes work, developing shot lists, coming up with costumes, like a lot of the stuff that would translate over to?
No, that was, when I worked with other people, it was largely just the acting and the performing. Yeah. So until it became like my own individual like venture into sex work, that's when I started learning about like everything you have to do.
Yeah.
To film your own content.
Okay. Tell me what were some of your first biggest mistakes as an independent content creator that you learned and you said afterwards, like, oh, fuck, never again?
Well, this one's, I'd say one is that like, it's important to find like your niches, but like don't explore every avenue, dude. There's no reason for you to like just be like, oh, I should do looning because someone out there likes looning content. Like, no. Like if looning's not going to be your thing, and for those people who don't know what looning is,
like me, I was going to ask you what's
sorry. It's people who have like balloon fetishes. So like maybe you're sitting on a balloon until it pops, or you're blowing up a balloon and stuff. Like it's fun to explore those things, but they're not all going to make you money. So find the things that you're passionate about or that you want to explore and just like build from those. Don't just like try sneezing fetish just because you'll get one sale on it. No.
But when you find the one that works,
then stick to it. Yeah, by all means. But
so what have some of your like niche
mainstays?
Your mainstays.
Oh yeah,
let's hear your mainstays.
My first mainstay, and like to this day, it's never gonna go away. And because it's real, it's raw. Yeah, smell fetish.
Okay,
I'm obsessed with smells.
Okay,
like I need there to be like a rank, musky stink. Like give it to me. Like put it on my face. I want to be in your armpit, ball sack, ass crack. I want it all.
You're driven by the pheromones. I am. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's funny because one of my wife, when she was making clips, one of her best-selling clips was an armpit. Yeah. The armpit lovers are hardcore.
They're so good to me.
I believe it. I believe it. And so, okay, so you had that affinity. Mm-hmm. Did you know it was a fetish, or did you like? I'm always curious at what point people kind of can put labels on things that turn them on, right?
Yeah.
So you always liked, a good smell.
Yeah.
When did you discover that was a profitable source of, niche to create content for?
So yeah, I discovered that I like smells. I can't remember like exactly when, but I do remember that like being in like dirty punk basements, I was like in heaven.
Yeah. You kind of need to have that kink to exist in the squats. Yeah.
It was good for me. It was a good time. But I think I learned a lot more about stuff that I was already into from the fans, because they had the labels and the categories because they're searching for the things online, right? So they're able to like tell me what a JOI is. And then I'm like, and then I feed it back to them. But that's kind of where I learned categories and labels for things.
So you mentioned that smells is one mainstay. What are some other mainstays?
Taboo roleplay and cosplay. Those are my big three.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Taboo roleplay, obviously, that's how we all pay our bills. I always say to my teams, we are going to shoot that stepmom scene so that we can do this artistic project as well, because that will fund the artistic project.
I like both of them.
Yeah.
I love the stepmom shit.
I
do.
I don't rain on it either. Like for me, it's all because I always skew like dark, like either like very kind of, edgy, make you think long after you've come dramas, or sort of like emotional psychological horror. So I love evil mom stories, but they always have to be either evil or like tormented, tortured, which is not necessarily the same as like the mom getting stuck in the washing machine. But everything should exist on the spectrum. So taboo role play,
Yes.
Cosplay, and is that like I've seen some of your costumes. I mean, the gremlin. That was actually before I ever saw what you looked like in your natural state. I was introduced to you. Oh, who is Little Puck? Oh, it's this lady gremlin.
See, I would argue that the gremlin is one of my natural states.
I mean, I think maybe.
I am Puck. I am all of them.
Yes.
I am all the creatures.
Yes. but obviously everybody go Google
Greta
Little
Gremlin.
Puck. What is it? What should they
So
Google?
Greta Gremlin is the name of the character.
Okay.
She's from Gremlins too.
Yes.
And Little Puck Gremlin.
Please Google Little Puck Gremlin. Okay. This was how I was introduced to Little Puck.
I love that. So much.
Now you're a very talented, like that's a talented. Did you
I
work?
No.
Okay. You have help.
I had help.
Okay.
So I flew to Texas for that one. I worked with my pet monster girl. He specifically makes monsters.
Okay. Amazing.
It was amazing. It was
I must know this person.
Yeah. I'm actually working with him again very soon. He hit me and my partner up to do a Beetlejuice and Lydia Dietz before the next movie drops.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back
Amazing.
out there. I'm very excited. But it was 8 hours to do the makeup and then 8 hours to do 2 videos after.
Yeah. So when you're doing your cosplay stuff, maybe walk me through like, do you have kind of a repertoire of cosplay outfits that you'll often, go back to, or is it kind of like a one and done?
I'm a one and done.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't ask me to repeat.
Okay.
I will not.
What's your favorite cosplay character that you've done maybe besides Greta Gremlin? Because that one's up there.
She's my let's see. I've done so many. I've done Peggy Bundy, Peg Pete. I did Fran the Nanny. That was really fun. I've done Goldie, who is Dawn Bluth, a character. She was like she's a pheasant technically.
Okay, but which
chicken.
Dawn Bluth?
From Rockadoodle.
Rockadoodle. There
And I
you
had
go.
wanted to do her for about 10 years. If you scroll through my Twitter, I've mentioned her like 20 times, and I finally did her.
Yeah.
And that was great.
I remember. I think I remember seeing.
Yeah. I've done Raven from Titans. The list. There's so many. I don't want to just pick one. It's hard.
Yeah, they're like your little babies.
Yeah, my little babies.
Yeah. Well, I do remember seeing is that I'm assuming it's the one where you had a beak.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Unless that was another character. Yeah. It's strangely enough in our connection points today with Gremlins 2, my entire adult career, not just in adult, but like my entire time as an adult, no matter what job I've had, I have always had a statue of the brain gremlin on my desk.
Are you?
I'll send you a picture.
I am freaking out.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, right?
We're fascinated by the same types of like,
Let's see. Not so much smell fetish for me, but everything else has been bang on.
You can blossom.
Yeah, I could.
There's still time.
There you go. I'll let you know. Keep you posted. When we start doing smell-o-vision at adult time, that is when you will know that I have crested that void. Okay, so career as a kind of, especially a successful creative content creator, what made you want to transition into shooting with studios, and how have you found that sort of experience? Because you've been going like pretty hard over the last 2 years within that kind of crossover space.
I was in a relationship, as many of these stories. Like, I feel like that answer to that question is like, well, I was dating someone who wasn't quite down with the cause. No, they were lovely, but I chose their comfort over my own passion, and I will never make that mistake again.
Mm-hmm. Now you choose your comfort.
Now I chose my comfort and my passion. And so we broke up, and then I went to like XBIZ, and I was really feeling myself, and I was like, I can do anything now. Because I had already in the back of my mind, for the 8 years that we had been dating, I was like, if we break up, it's not the end of the world. I'm gonna make a shit ton of money and fuck a lot of people.
Yeah. You already had your
I was
rebound.
already like, I'm fine. And I had like literally consistently, that was a thought. Not because I wanted to like escape that relationship. It was great.
Yeah.
It changed, like it was beautiful. But
from the ashes of that rose the phoenix.
So I went to XBIZ and I found like the Pornhub booth or like the browsers booth or something. And I walked up to them and I was like, I want to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. And they hit me up like the next month and like booked me. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And the first time on set, I was so, oh my God. I felt so fancy because they flew me from Vegas to from LA to Vegas. And I was like, yeah, 6 a.m. Got this, no problem. And like I show up and I've memorized all my lines. But not only that, I thought about like, okay, so I'm not going to know like what position or angle they're going to shoot me in. So I got to prepare for like thinking how the director would want me to make sure that I look good. And like, I'm like, and then everyone there is just like cracking jokes, just like very casual, like just another day on the job. And I'm like, oh, this is just normal, par for the course.
So they probably had the same reaction that I had where I was like, who the heck is this? You were so prepared. I think you had even memorized the ad-lib dialogue that you were going to say during the sex scene. It was incredible.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I had like notes. So I was like, I could use this. Like, I think it's just because having done like 10 years, like doing it myself. I also had an assistant for 5 years who would like also shoot me and help me build sets and stuff. And they were fucking amazing. Vore and Royale, I love you. But it's like, it was just me or the two of us like planning and doing everything.
Yeah.
And being able to show up and have a crew who's doing their jobs and not only doing their jobs, but like excellently. Yeah. And I don't have to think about it. And I could just act and fuck. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's
amazing.
so exciting to be able to like hone and focus
Yeah.
and just give my best performance.
Welcome to the season finale of The Prize.
But first, we have a little treat for our contestants.
Daddy!
Your husband and your stepson.
When you love someone as much as I love him and Ethan, there isn't anything you wouldn't do to make sure that they have the life that they deserve.
Well, we know it's not a gift without a twist.
So what have been some of your favorite, I would say favorite sort of studio projects overall? And then I'd love to hear like your experience with Adult Time so far.
So I'm gonna say mention this one, and I'm gonna say it's my favorite because it was the hardest, and I learned about like my limit. So I worked with Hentai in Budapest, and holy God, it was so difficult. It was like it was very taxing on my body. It was 7 days straight, like 16 hours like every day, and like covered in cum, like 5 tentacles inside me or on me all at once, like in a tunnel where I'm like on my hands and knees crawling for 8 hours. Like it was rough.
I've heard those shoots are insane.
It is very insane.
Yeah.
And so, but finally seeing the finished product, I was so proud of myself because I love hentai and like weird monster stuff, like very much. So I would say that scene is one of my favorite because I was just like very proud of myself.
Yeah.
It was very challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I get to work with Tommy Pistol, it's a great day for me.
Brand ambassador Tommy Pistol. Shout out.
I love Tommy Pistol. I think I've shot with him more than anyone else so far for these pros.
I think it's because as you and I are kindred spirits, I feel like you and him are also in a way that can work well in a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised by that.
He's the only porn star. Before I was shooting and stuff, he was the only porn star where I ever went up to at AVN and I had him sign a poster.
Yeah.
And I had it on my work desk.
Oh,
and I was
Tommy.
Like,
he's probably blushing. When he hears it.
Yeah.
Because he's so like humble and like such a sweetie in real life.
Oh, he knows. I've told him.
Yeah.
So that was when I shot with you. I think that was like my 4th scene ever, I'm pretty sure. And so I was working with Tommy that day and then working with Codi. And we had shot together like amateur content like 6 years before that or something. And being able to see like our journeys together and like just like where we had blossomed in like different ways. And then to have her like reach out and tap me and be like, it's time, bro. Let's do this. It meant so fucking much to me. And for it to be her project too was a big deal. Yeah. And I was just like, I was so proud. I'm not crying. That's weird. This is fine. I'm fine.
Usually if you're involved with me in a project, there's either usually some tears or some monster is going to show up, and I don't. They both might have. No, listen. Codi was, she kind of said, there's only one thing I really, really, really want out of this one, and it was to vouch for you. And I always feel like whenever I'm working with a close collaborator like that, especially. I don't want to say just a female collaborator, but it happens like this. Like there's an instinct where I remember Casey Calvert, who we work a lot with, and obviously is an ambassador and a director with us. She was like, I want to do this movie, but like I need to cast Victoria Vox in it. And it was at a time where Victoria wasn't, wasn't all that well known. And she was like, the one thing I need to do is I need to put her in this movie because she's amazing. And of course, like since she's gone on, she's incredible, So like there's sometimes when someone comes to me and they're like, if I'm going to be like a stickler on anything, it has to be, you need to meet this person. I usually am not going to ever say no to that because I know it's the right thing. Yeah, that was her like main ask for that day. And she was right.
I love her.
Yeah.
I feel very honored.
Yeah. Well, and since the prize was one of the top Pure Taboo releases of, I think it came out right at the tail end of the last year, but certainly in the last calendar year, one of the top ones, really popular. Yeah. And you yourself have like kind of exploded on the platform and have a big fan base going on there. So it's only a matter of time before I'm going to knock on your door, or I'm going to tell you should probably knock on my door if you have an idea of a first story.
Oh, I'm game.
So like, let's pitch it out. Let's see it out. Because if it comes to fruition, this is a great clip to bring back to show that it came. So if you were going to do, give me your pitch. What would be, keep it reasonable. We have a limited budget.
See that? I don't have like a specific pitch. My atmosphere is, psychological horror.
Okay. You're speaking my language.
Yeah. I want some corruption.
Yeah.
And I love transformation, whether that comes through like, and I like body transformation stuff, and like so some sprinkling of like some hentai, sprinkling of a taboo, maybe a generational arc.
Ooh,
yeah. I want like 3 to 5 episodes.
Yeah, I like this. Well, it's funny that I've been working a lot this past year with SFX makeup and prosthetics artists in the projects I've been working on. And I think one of the projects, I don't want to say 100%, but what my creative instinct is telling me is where I want to focus next year is we did a series right when we first launched Adult Time called Under the Bed. I love that name for a horror series because, monsters under your bed. And we only ever shot 4 vignettes. And it's an anthology series, so each episode can really be its own take on horror, from monsters to like purely kind of psychological. And those 4 episodes are still some of the most popular episodes we've put out. And of course they took time and energy. It's not the type of project that you want to churn out every week because then it loses its quality. Yeah. But I would love to come back and bring that series back with a nice mix of, because there's also too, some of the kind of transformation, short of tentacles, which we cannot do, but monster transformation stuff is also like, it's so eye-catching. It's Michael Vegas, who I work with a lot, said to me this year, because, our slogan is porn done differently. And he said to me this year, Bree, this year we are doing porn done difficultly. And I thought that is stuck in my mind. Shout out Michael Vegas. That is stuck in my mind so much because I'm like, yes, because there's so much content. Yeah. And, there's so much that people can do, but not everybody can do, monster transformation,
prosthetics, and practical effects for me. Oh my, they're so sexy.
Yeah,
they're hard. It's a lot, but the payoff, it feels so good. And it looks so good.
So you're saying that you wouldn't mind being in a makeup chair to be transformed into some kind of sexy creature?
I will be next week. Actually, all right. I will be. I'm very excited. I'm doing a short horror film with like 8 cosplay model sex workers. And it's called Frankenbabes, and I'm cast as Jumper. So I'm like an undead
Yes.
You know, I'm gonna have like bolts coming out of me and like spiky hair, and like we're gonna have like electricity shoot out of me, but it's like it's gonna be like that cool world style.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
the very 80s Hellraiser blue.
Yep.
So yeah, and that apparently my call time is 4:30 a.m. and I was
you
like,
will
and I'm
be
like,
there
I've
with
done
all
it.
your lines memorized.
I'm like, I'm used to this. Yeah,
amazing. Well, yeah, no, I think I feel too with like the popularity of. I'm so inspired by like what A24 as a company or Neon and like just I think there's just this return to intelligent, really well-made horror. And for me, that's kind of all I want to make right now, right? So there you go. Meeting of the minds. You read it here. You heard it here first, folks. We've got a big project coming up in I'm hoping it's going to be released in October. And we'll drop a hint. We obviously haven't shot it yet, so things can still go completely wrong. But we have all the wardrobe. I have it, and it's pretty amazing. So it's going to be Girls' Way's 10th anniversary this October, which makes me feel very old. But we've shot a lot of Taboo roleplay in those 10 years. But we're going to celebrate that with this. I think the biggest group scene we've ever shot for Girls' Way, or it's up there.
Yeah.
There was one thing I did once with a lot of girls and a lot of oil, and I don't think I'd ever repeat it, although it was great, but it was a logistical nightmare. Yeah. But this does not have any oil, but it is a parody of the Warriors.
Yes.
Which I've always wanted to do since like the very beginning of Girls' Way, an all-girl gangbang. So good.
It's so good.
Yeah. So and it's so funny because I sort of handpicked the cast, based on obviously, those who have worked with the brand and that, our audiences love, and also who I knew would love the project, right? And we're doing it as a collab project, so everybody gets to have the content afterwards as well. So it's really going to be a big collab. And once again, I think it was Penny Barber who I hit up. And as soon as I hit up Penny, she was like, you have got to be casting Little Puck for this, right? And I was like, literally, she's on the list. And Codi's going to be in it too.
I know. I just found out.
Yeah.
Penny literally vouches for me all the fucking time. And I love that woman. Yeah. And I am so thankful for her. I've also had a crush on her for God knows how long.
So of all the interviews that I've done, Penny's is one of the ones that stands out to me because the second we sat down in that chair, it was the first time her and I think had ever met in person. And within seconds, she had me like just like back on my heels. Not in a way that was like aggressive, but just like it was her interview and I was answering her questions. And it was amazing. I have never been, I felt like I was just picked up.
Mother.
Yeah.
Mother.
Like I was flicked by mother. Yeah, it was amazing. No, I love, she's another kind of great in the last couple of years, you, Codi, Penny, that are just like, also come in with this energy and passion for like the creation of the characters and content, which is very refreshing. It is. This is very refreshing. So that's going to be a fun time. We'll see if we survive it.
I'm going to try to get more out of you today. I hope you know. Like,
I can show you the whole lookbook. I have the whole lookbook. Yeah. So all girl gangbang being filmed. And unless things go horribly awry, you will see it at the beginning of October. And it's going to be fun.
I won.
Good game, honey.
Thank you. I know.
Very cool.
Was that the door?
Yeah, do you want me to get it?
No, honey, I'll get it.
All right.
Hey, sis. Aren't you gonna let me in?
Where is she? Where? No, Melinda was here. Where is she? She's in the bathroom. You let her in the bathroom!
What is happening right now?
You said your family was boring.
I've never seen her before. Honey, what is happening? Honey? Honey, please open up. Can you please let us in? What's going on?
Fuck it.
There's one more thing I do want to ask you because it was fucking cool. You recently co-hosted the XBIZ Creator Awards with Siri Dahl, who's one of our ambassadors as well. What was that experience like?
Dude, it's still a blur for me because literally I had told myself a week before I got the call, I was like, okay, girl, because I keep giving myself goals. And then so that goal, I was like, okay, so once you co-host the XBIZ, or once you host the XBIZ Awards, you'll have made it. And I get the call a week later, and I'm like, shut the
That's amazing.
You know, and
manifestation.
that's my favorite award show. I love it so much, and to be able to co-host it with Siri, who's like my roommate as well.
Yeah.
I was just like, when we both got that call, like I think we said very similar things to Mo. I was like, you just opened Pandora's box, buddy.
You do not even know what you just got.
But it was just such a fun project, being
Yeah.
able to like work on the script together, skits, and do the costumes together and everything. It was a joy.
How much did the two of you kind of come up with because you had multiple wardrobes, and they were all iconic.
It was so difficult to pull together.
Yeah.
It was like many like shopping sessions, being like, oh, okay, like 25 tabs open, like looking at each other's. Okay, what about this? What about this? You know, like trying to amalgamate it all together. But we did it.
Yeah. Oh, it was, and I talked to her right afterwards, and she was just like on cloud 9. That was like so much fun.
It was great.
So goals. You mentioned goals. Yeah. What are some of your other big goals? What would you like to achieve in the next few years? And then I will ask my rapid fire questions.
I'm very award driven, Bree.
Mm-hmm.
I really like winning things. So, you know, more of that stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't done my gangbang yet. I would love to do my first gangbang. I would love a massive bukkake. You know, like 100 guys.
Yeah, like going back to
girls.
like what was it, like there was like an era in the late 90s where it was just all about like how many hundreds of guys lining up.
That sounds amazing. Like really, and like my stomach will probably hurt after. And
Yeah.
like
well,
my
just the
biome
amount
will
of
be fucked up.
paperwork. The amount of paperwork
that I'm not doing
hurts my stomach. Yeah, you do not self-produce that one. Let me tell you,
absolutely not. Yeah, and I have been in my first feature, and then also I really like I love what I do, and I plan to be doing this for a long ass time. This is my life.
These are your people.
This is my life, and I will be acting, and I would like to direct, and I would like to do every single job behind the scenes. Like I want to understand this industry, and like I'm invested.
Amazing.
This is my life.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have come to the point. The rapid fire.
Okay.
Is eating ass over or underrated?
Underrated. Give me that booty. Put it on my face. I want to put my nose. I want to nose fuck it.
I should not have asked the smell fetishist this question without expecting that answer. All right. This one's going to be good. What's one fictional character that you wish you could have sex with, Little Puck?
Well, it's Bugs Bunny, Bree, because he's a freak, and we all know that. Also, he wouldn't try to tie me down.
No.
It'd be like we'd meet up once a year, and it'd be chill. We have a great night.
What's what's one sex act that you have tried that you would never try again? Maybe besides the tentacle chasing you through you probably would try that again.
I would, but see, I don't think that it's like it could be narrowed down to the sex act. Maybe it was just like the wrong person or the wrong time. Like I'm down to try anything again.
Yeah, good. What's your favorite type of role play scenario?
Anything with like corruption, like anything that just twists the knife. So I do love taboo role play like so much. That's dead mommy shit. It's so much fun for me.
Yeah, good to hear. Like I said, very good to know.
Yeah.
We always like a good stepmom.
Yeah.
What's something that's non-conventionally sexual that turns you on?
Organization.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, having your paperwork done.
Kindred
It's
spirits
just like it's like clean towels, boys. Have the clean towels. At the shoot. What else? I love when people organized, like being on time, and then like when people aren't. And I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm sorry, this isn't rapid fire.
No, this is good. They're going to take all of your moments.
Okay. I like when people aren't brittle in how they think. I like when people have flexibility and they're able, if someone tells them that they fucked up, they're able to just see that, recognize it, and then like adopt a new framework very quickly. Mm-hmm. I like when people don't feel mired in their own shame and don't have this like perfectionist need to like be right or be good all the time and can just be human.
Yeah.
And love learning how to grow and change. It's hot.
Now I have to follow it up with.
I'm sorry.
After your really profound statement, okay. I have to follow it up. Do you have any sexting tips?
I'm not a sexting girl. I like audios.
Mm-hmm.
I need some like dirty, filthy, like honey dripping in your ear type shit.
I had a guest who did some like that Sex Panther.
Mhm.
Would you ever be interested in doing that kind
Oh
of thing?
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I am actually on Sex Panther, but I send my guys audios on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And like anywhere I can. Also, my hands get really tired,
Yeah.
so it's just easier for me, and also I feel like I can emote more, and it's more fun.
Yeah, I feel that. All right, so my last one for you. Do you remember the best orgasm you've ever had?
I've had so many bangers. The thing is, I'm never thinking about the last one. I'm searching for the next one. I'm hungry.
All right, everybody. You heard Little Puck. All right, everybody. We're probably just going to keep talking, so we'll let you get back to your day. But thank you so much, Puck. It was amazing.
Thank you. This is
I appreciate
very
it.
fun.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
I have a lot of ideas now, which is good. All right, everybody. We will see you next time. All right. That was a roller coaster of a conversation. But let me tell you, it is one that I have waited in a long line for. And I am so glad I met the height requirements for, because Little Puck, her reputation really like, it goes above and beyond. I heard so much about this creator long before I met her, and everybody was right. She is an incredible creative force. Everything she brings to the day, from her professionalism to her energy to her sexuality, so impressive. We talked about growing up in a religious cult. We talked about discovering, performance art. We talked about Greta Gremlin, everything in between. So if you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, and if you would love to get to know Little Puck more, you can find all of her links listed down below. Now, if you support us and you want us to keep going with this podcast, you know what to do. Leave the comment, like the video, please subscribe to our channel. It really means the world to us, and we're gonna see you next time.